Prepper Princess says you're being lied to by so-called preppers. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness, and this is my take on her video. Her video was yesterday, and that's the exact title of it. Her channel is Prepper Princess. She has like 240-something thousand subscribers, big channel, does a lot of good stuff. If you want to know how to save money, cut corners and stuff like that, she is outstanding in that category. Goes a little bit too far for me, but great information. She takes it to the extreme. She knows how to do that. Okay, so first off, this is a video talking about her points and whether I agree or disagree with her. And first off, in today's politically correct society, it is okay to disagree with somebody and still get along with them. I don't create drama here on YouTube. I do not create hate. I do not war with other channels whatsoever. I don't ever talk trash about them. Like I just said, she has a wonderful channel, wonderful subscribers, all that stuff. But I do have to point out some things that I disagreed with her on. But before I go on, and before I get into that, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down, whatever you want. Share the videos, comment below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what your take is on this stuff. Let me pause it. I need to clean the camera a little bit. Okay, hopefully that's a little clearer for you. Okay, so let's talk about her video. She talked about gold and silver and how you buy it at or over spot, and then you sell it under spot, and how gold and silver is basically just tracking the dollar. True. And how divisibility matters, because if you get something that is too large, like an ounce of gold for a loaf of bread, well, obviously that's not in really like value. She also pointed out the fact that you can't eat gold and silver. True, I get it. Everything she said about gold and silver, I agree with. Totally, 100%. Okay, so the next point, she was talking about defensive tools. You know what I'm talking about. The pews. She talked about how she recently sold a bunch of them. Just standard, nothing fancy, nothing special. She sold a bunch of them. And how she was pointing out the fact that people say that firearms, oops, I said it, defensive tools appreciate in value. And she was saying, no, they don't. Because if you buy a $500 tool, and then you end up selling it for $200. Okay, well, that's timing. That has nothing to do with the value of the tool. That's timing. Just like, say, if you buy stock at $100 per share, well, you don't sell it when it goes down to $80 a share. You just don't. It's called timing. Of course you can lose money. You can lose money on anything. Stocks, bonds, vehicles, houses, land, anything. So that would basically what she was alluding to, is that nothing would ever accrue in value because it's all timing. So I disagree with her there. If you're selling after the market gets flooded with all these defensive tools and the price goes down crazy, well, yeah, that's just not the time to sell. You wait till the next freak out, scare goes on, and nobody can find them, and then you sell them for a profit. So I disagree with her there, but like I said, this is about respect. I totally respect her, and I'm not talking trash about her whatsoever. We just have some disagreements. She also said that you can only use one at a time. So why have more than one? Well, that's a basic rule in preparedness. The standard prepper rule. 1 is none. 2 is 1. Enough said. That's why you have more than one. Also, more than one, so that if the situation dictates and other people show up, you can say, here you go, here you go, here you go. Go set a perimeter defense. Because if those people show up without tools, they're going to need them. So that's another point of why I feel you would need more. Now, I get it. Everybody is not in the mindset of that world. Me being prior military, that's what I think of. Security and defense is my forte. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there that may not be thinking along those lines, and that's okay. Like I did in recent videos, there's lots of other things that people can do to help with the efforts. Yeah, she said you can only carry so many, talking about bugging out. If you got to bug out, you can't carry it all. Well, you can say that about anything. You can say that about all your preps. Don't stockpile food or water because you can't carry it if you had to head out the door really quick. And to me, bugging out is never a first response. If you got to do it, yeah, it's going to suck because you're going to leave behind everything. Your tools, your food, your water, all your supplies. So really, to me, that didn't really make sense to me. But also, she was talking about unless you live in, a really bad neighborhood or you got a bunch of thugs around you, stuff like that, that you don't really need this kind of stuff. Well, that's the illusion of security. The illusion of security is because people think that things are going to continue on the way they are, and they're not. Chaos will reign. It will be thugs. It will be people out causing problems, bad guys that do that kind of thing anyway. They would just be emboldened by the declining situation. And people that normally would be good people are going to devolve into animals because they need to feed their family. So that is the illusion of security. And like I said, not talking trash, just pointing out some things, making my take on the issues. Okay, then she was talking about freeze-dried foods, how she spent, $2,000 on all this freeze-dried food because these companies were approaching her and stuff like that, which is great. I don't think there's anything wrong with freeze-dried food. But her point was that it takes up a lot of space. All preps take up a lot of space. Canned goods, bulk dry goods, water, it all takes up a lot of space. So to me, that's a wash. I mean, the good thing about freeze-dried stuff is it doesn't weigh as much. So if you have to carry it with you, or in a vehicle, or a camper, or a trailer, or whatever it is, you can carry a lot more than you could with heavier items. So that's my take on that. She also said that years later, like she bought them 10 or so years ago, and then when she moved from California to Arizona, how she, she decided to go through it. So she opened it up, and how every single one of them tasted like a salt lick. Okay, everybody's taste buds are different, and maybe she doesn't like it. It's not for everybody. She said she tried a bunch of different types, and I tend to agree because we don't use much salt in our cooking. But it actually, I think, for preparedness purposes, it's a good thing because what can you do? You can take that freeze-dried whatever, and then you can mix it with rice, beans, or other things that don't have the flavor. And it spreads your food further, making your preps last longer, and you can use that stuff that's over-seasoned, spread it out so it'll be more evenly seasoned, and make more food for people. And you can spread out that more expensive freeze-dried stuff using less expensive stuff to help fill it in and make a complete meal. So to me, it's a good thing. But if she doesn't like it, that's no problem. Nobody has to do anything specific. We all prep what we eat, and she made some good points on that, very good points. Prep what you eat. If you don't eat it, don't prep it. 100% agree with her. Yes, so also she said, okay, if I was going to go out and spend $2,000 buying food, don't you think I'd taste it first to see if I liked it? Just saying. If I'm going to sink $2,000 on some food, I'm going to taste it and make sure I like it before I sink $2,000 on the food. So I think she probably should have done that. But like I said, I'm not talking crap. I'm just making some points that I feel are very valid and worthwhile talking about on here. Okay, then she said that she didn't like it so much that she tried, and she realized that it was expired somehow. I don't know, it was 30-year shelf life, so she bought 10 years ago, she should have 20 years left, I don't know. Somehow, which I believe her, I'm not saying she's wrong, the food was expired. So she tried to take it to a food pantry to donate it, and she made the point that they wouldn't even accept her $2,000 worth of food. Of course they didn't. They can't. Because it's expired. Has nothing to do with the cost. Has nothing to do with anything else. Food pantries cannot accept expired food. Plain and simple. Doesn't matter how much it cost. Okay. Then she was talking about stockpiling food. And I'm sorry if I'm coming across all negative. I disagreed with her on a lot of things. But I'm also going to point out things that I agreed with her on. So, like I said, this is just kindly banter. We don't have to get all upset. I'm not attacking her whatsoever. I just disagree with her, which is okay. Not to stockpile, not to concentrate on stockpiling food, to concentrate on hunting, fishing, and foraging. Okay, how well did that work out for the people in the Great Depression when they almost put our deer herd to extinction? And we have twice as many people in the United States now, at least, than we did back then, that will all try to be hunting, fishing, maybe foraging. Foraging, very good point. And having the skills, as she pointed out, having the skills to get out there, hunt, fish, forage, and all these things, great points. I totally agree with her 100% on the points that you should have this in your tool bag. You should be able to do this, and the point that she made that your food stockpiles, your food storage, should be your backup plan, not your primary plan with foraging and hunting, supplementing it, but it supplementing that. Spot on, 100%. She didn't talk about gardening and raising your own animals, which I think is a good idea also, but it's probably just because that wasn't what she was talking about in this video. I'm sure she totally agrees with that. Okay, stockpile is a secondary, I agree. Okay, then she went on and talked about power, generators, solar, stuff like that. I have some generators, but I don't have a ton of experience in this area, especially the solar and alternative sources, so I'll have to go with what she said. I didn't find anything wrong with what she said. She's in Arizona where, you know, she's talking about losing power when it's 115 degrees outside, 90. Okay, so she made some good points about that. Sorry about the pause. My SD card was full. I had to free up some space and continue with you guys. Okay, so splice that in. Yeah, the points she was making about power were 100% legit, agree. And she talked about having solar, which you could throw in wind also depending on where you live, and having the generator as a backup. Good points. And her choices to run the refrigerator instead of air conditioning because of the load on the air conditioner, I think is a wise move. We as humans, we can do things like go outside, maybe turn a fan on or something like that to cool ourselves. Swamp coolers, there's different things. So I think that was a good call, good information. Like I said, I got to give credit where credit's due, but I also got to disagree where disagreement is due. All right. Next she talked about threats, and how she was talking about her family being all military, like Navy SEALs, Army Special Forces, stuff like that, which if that, you know, I don't have any reason to believe that's not true. Thumbs up to your family. A lot of respect there. Brothers in arms. I was in the military for 20 years. I did some similar stuff. So there's a lot of respect there. But she was talking about like a defensive tool, and then they're like, well, why do you need that? Well, in case I need to defend myself. And they're like, well, why wouldn't you just run? Which I agree. You don't want to get into a gunfight if you don't have to. If you can run, then yeah, do it. Don't be where the fight is. Okay? But you don't always have the chance or the opportunity to run. Because say they show up on your property, some threats, or you just run out the back door and abandon all your preps and everything you have just because? No. Sometimes you got to fight. Sometimes you got to stay and fight. Having that ability and those capabilities is very important. So you can't always run. Like I said, I agreed about not trying. The people that try or want to get into a fight, that's just dumb. I totally agree with her point about not wanting to get into a fight, but you don't always have a choice. Sometimes stuff goes down and you got to fight. So that's the way I look at that. She was talking about suturing. Great points on that. A lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people don't think about what she said. Great points. Preppers, they go on Amazon, they buy these suture kits, they learn to suture, and they think, oh, I'm going to suture myself or suture somebody else. Not always the best case situation, or not always the best choice. Why? Especially in an SHTF scenario. Because why? Because you're closing that wound, which means you can no longer see what's going down inside there. You could have an infection growing inside there and you'll never know. Well, you won't know until it gets so bad that it's up here at the surface, and then you got to try to use antibiotics. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, like she said, it is better to keep the wound open. Debride it. Actually, it was funny because I was watching Carl at Tactical Rifleman the other night on a live stream with A. American, the writer of the Survivalist series, that Going Home, Defending Home, that series. Great books. I read the first 5. I didn't know he had another bunch of books out, so I'm going to order the rest of the books. But as well as the Stone Mount series from Stephen C. Smith. Haven't read it yet, so I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, that's a side note. They made the same point on there. And Carl was a Special Forces medic. So, spot on. I totally agree with that. All right. The next point she made, she was talking about tactical gear. And plates, plate carriers, all that kind of stuff. And her point was that you don't need it. That no preppers need it. Whoa. Au contraire. Especially if you're former military, or if you are a warrior, capable, fighting aged, capable person that may be called into duty, depending on what the situation goes into. Because you can't always just think that things are going to be fine or things are going to be short term. We as preppers have to prepare for a plethora of situations, and one of them may be where you need to be, or you need to have people capable of being in a tactical situation. So that's very important. She made a point, I'll be honest, it upset me, because she said that people that prep with tactical gear and all the accoutrements and stuff like that and training and everything like that, that were mentally defective. We have a mental disorder. I had to woo-saw myself for a minute because, yes, that upset me. Some of us just think like that. We don't all have to think like that, thank God. But we need to have warriors. We need to have gardeners. We need to have people that are good at saving money, like her. We need to have people in lots of different roles. So now that I've woo-sawed and I've calmed down, I don't feel that I'm mentally defective for having tactical gear. I feel that it is, in my role, it is important to support my role. Enough said. Like I said, I'm not mad at her, just pointing out the fact where I disagree. Because what happens if, total chaos breaks out? Total collapse of society, foreign invasion, tyrannical government. There was one point she made about, did you think about your food storage, that the government's going to come try to take your food storage, and that they're not, because they're going to hit the big box stores and other stuff. Well, yeah, but, what happens when, or if it's the tyrannical side, and they don't want to take from Walmart and these other places, how if maybe they want, and that's their whole goal, their whole purpose is to take from you as a prepper, because you don't agree with them politically. That may be a situation also. She did mention that a lot of people with those tactical gear and stuff like that, how they're not physically fit enough to actually be of any use. And I talk about that all the time, on here and on Patreon. She made a good point there. And she also made the point, the Call of Duty point, the hero complex, that a lot of people, a lot of guys especially, fall for this thing that they all feel that just because they have this kit, they have these tools, they may have a little bit of training, that there's some kind of like high-speed tactical operator. And you're not. That's where being realistic with yourself, with your capabilities, with your abilities, is vital. You cannot overestimate your abilities, just like you don't want to underestimate your adversary. All right, so let's keep it real. That's my take on the video. I hope that I did it in such a way that I wasn't doing it confrontational or attacking her. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for her and her channel. My wife loves her channel. She's very good at saving money and doing other things. And she's a prepper, which is great. Give her mad props for that, and the fact that she's a ginormous channel. Mad props for that. But we disagree on some things, which is okay. If you're watching this, Prepper Princess, I still love you. Seriously. It's not all about, we don't have to agree. It's okay, even in today's society, that we can still be friends and we can disagree sometimes. So everybody, I hope you guys liked the video. I hope that you subscribe. I hope you hit that thumbs up or the thumbs down. I hope you comment, share the videos, do all those things. And check out her channel if you're not already subscribed. If you know my channel, you probably know her channel though. Have a wonderful day and blessings to you and yours.